Guys, okay, look, when this show started, we had like a minute. I think I remember having a part where it's like, I really just don't want to talk about Elon Musk anymore. And it's like, man, I'm already back here. Everything that's old is new again.
It's all cycles, baby.
Yep. Kanye being
Steve
crazy
Bannon
again,
thinks.
too.
Oh, yeah, that is what Steve Bannon thinks.
In the first aeon, I was the Great Spirit. In the second aeon, men knew me as the Horned God, Pangenitor, Panphage. In the third aeon, I was the Dark One, the Devil. In the fourth aeon, men knew me not, for I am the Hidden One. In the fifth aeon, I appeared before you as Baphomet, the God before all gods who shall endure to the end of the earth. In this new aeon, I appear to you as CMN.
Imagine that there is a brilliant white light just above.
Is commentary on the magic art.
In the year of the primal force, in the dawn of terrestrial birth.
Oh, that was very educational.
Now magic will take place. Don't be fooled by what I just said.
Welcome, everyone. I am Steiner Math Kennedy, and this is Chaos Magic News, the only podcast with
141 and 2/3 chance of winning at sacrifice.
Joining me, as always, is my perennially sexy co-host, Rene. Get it on. How are you doing? Get it on.
Just
where's your fancy quip?
I'm just hearing Marvin Gaye in the background. Rene Geunon. Let's get
Rene Geunon. Oh yeah. And as you can hear, also joining us is our friend Dee from the Discord. Dee, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Howdy, Cowpoke.
Yay! They said the thing.
He said the thing.
That's where we get it from. Everett, you doing good?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me on this beautiful day.
Is it? I mean, you're over on the West Coast, aren't you?
No, I'm in the middle of the country.
Damn, I thought you were
Which country?
America?
That doesn't narrow it down.
Oh, God. Sorry, for some reason I thought you were on the West Coast, but I'm just a...
Midwest.
Okay.
I'm in Kansas.
Anyone east of Mississippi is West Coast for us.
Sounds like bad public schooling.
I mean, yeah, if you can think about the part of the country that we're in, you already know that.
Yeah.
Oh, given that I use the wonderful colloquial phrase east of the Mississippi. Like it's fucking 1794.
I don't know what you're talking about. We live in Chicago, don't we?
You live in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You know, I've been trying to make an effort to do this at the beginning of the podcast for anybody who's listening that maybe they don't know if they want to commit to like an hour and a half of Yahoo's gibbering. So what do we got on the show this week, guys?
Oh, wow. Well, we actually brought Dee on for a reason. Dee is going to give us a schooling on the premier right-wing occult nut job of like 8 years ago now, if we're being completely honest. I mean, they're still around.
Waiting in the wings. Waiting in the wings for his triumphant return, man.
They're going to talk to us about the occult connections and other miscellaneous weirdness from one Steve Bannon.
Yep.
You might remember Steve Bannon from showing up on Red Scare or going to prison. Also,
how many people could you say that about? Red Scare and prison. It's probably a longer list than you'd want.
Or if you're old enough, you remember him from his involvement in the real-world BIO-DOME.
Oh, spoilers. Hang on. So, also, we're going to get into the news as we are wont to do. But first, we're going to open up with something that we wanted to make a culture piece, but unfortunately, we couldn't really get enough out of. So we're going to jam it here in the intro topic. Because Dee, you and I bonded over a particular thing. You know, obviously, we're both occultists. We both live in America. But we bonded over another shared interest.
Third nipples.
Our love of Hulk Hogan.
Oh, that was way off.
Yes, wrestling.
Yeah. You might not guess that the person that uses words like onto-theological and has a magic podcast would enjoy them some good wrestling, but I do. I like me a good wrestler. We were talking about having DD on. I don't remember for what particular reason, just because we like him, I guess. But we thought, it would be a great thing because you and I both like wrestling. We should look at the occult connections that we could find because from a at least a surface level, you would think that it would be a no-brainer. Like, obviously, wrestling, which is just this big theatrical kind of production from a time where things like satanic panic would be co-opted into storylines and, the entertainment aspects of it. You would think you'd find like a lot of like occult magic stuff. And just thinking of the kind of like wackadoo you'd have to be like, I'm going to make it my life's effort to be a fake fighter.
Yeah.
Like, you would think that they would probably really be into stuff like this, but
now we already talked about Count Dante, so it seems like it's right there, right?
No, well, Dante was a real fighter. What he was a fake voodoo priest, and
well, so am
I.
I.
Couldn't really kill you with his hands, but he beat the shit out of that guy.
Look, I sent my $5 to the spirits of Minnesota voodoo, so I think I'm right there with them.
Well, but there were little bits of things like
that's right. Don't challenge that.
I'm not going to.
Sorry, go on. I'm sorry.
Dee did probably more research than I did, just because they're smarter and have more time. But the one
and better looking,
and more humble.
I don't know about that one.
We looked at Kevin Sullivan because there's there's an actual rumor about Kevin Sullivan like doing stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably just because his character work was so strong that he came across as a believable Satanist in the late 80s.
Explain Kevin Sullivan's character in the 80s and the sort of connection to the satanic panic and so on.
I mean, cookie cutter Satanist. I mean, that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, it's like it was he was a cookie cutter Satanist that had like a mall of other like goofier Satanist people.
Well, that's the Dungeon of Doom. That was mid-90s.
Oh yeah, you're right. See, they are smarter than me, folks.
Okay, now for the record, did he Mr. Kevin Sullivan, he wrestled under like his name? He was just Kevin Sullivan, Crazy Satanist, or did he have like a stage name?
Kevin Sullivan is his stage name.
Yeah, his real name isn't Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah,
that's not what this Wikipedia right here is saying. Kevin Sullivan.
Is that his real name?
He was Kevin Sullivan, but he also wrestled as Kevin Sullivan.
Okay, I just always figured it was his stage name.
You're like, what idiot would use his real name when you're gonna be like Gigi Allen in a wrestling ring? Look at this guy.
Yeah, that is a bold move to be like, not only, especially because at the time, it was a lot more kayfabe, which if you're not a wrestling person, kayfabe is the way that it's the code that wrestlers follow, that you don't break character. You don't say that wrestling is fake, even though at the time it was a lot more deniable that it was fake, or people were willing to suspend their disbelief a lot more.
Yeah. You keep up the fiction on and off stage.
Right, yeah. Like, so the good guys don't hang out with the bad guys. You don't like have a match with somebody where you slam them into the ground and bust their neck up and like go out together and bungee jump the next day. You don't let people know that this is a scripted entertainment thing. You make them think it's real. So yeah, like I was saying, it takes some balls to be like, I will be the Satanist character
using the name my mother gave me, so that way people in my hometown will give my mom and pop weird looks saying, I always knew that boy wasn't right.
Yeah.
He's up here painting his face and has a goat head in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, but you did find out that Kevin Sullivan had like a legitimate interest in the occult to some extent, right?
Yeah. When I was looking all of that up, I found some old forum posts by someone that claimed to be like a lifelong friend of his. And he was saying that Kevin actually got his doctorate, master's or doctorate, I don't remember which one, in basically like occult studies from whatever university. And he had like a really strong like academic interest in it. And that's kind of where he drew a lot of like all those characters from, were his interest in the occult.
There's also like I said, because of his character, there's like little rumors about like him doing voodoo and shit like that, but none of it's ever been substantiated. So there's not a whole lot to talk about other than, oh, look, hey, check it out. Almost 40 years later, there's still people that are going around being like, yeah, man, that Satanist guy, Kevin Sullivan, he's on some real shit. He was a real Satanist, bro.
Yeah, like the only story I could find that was like kind of backed it up was from RVD on his podcast from Rob Van Dam. He talks about when he first started out in his early 20s, he was on a tour in Jamaica with Kevin Sullivan. And one night he was like meditating in a parking lot and heard like some ceremony or something going on, some like jungle drumming on the beach late one night. And the next day he found out that like it was a voodoo ceremony, supposedly. And Kevin Sullivan was trying to go out and like observe it, and no one would let him leave the hotel.
See, that's disappointing because that, you know, because if the stories are true and that's what, you know, he's the kind of guy, that would have been amazing for him. Of course, he'd want to go see that. He's like, oh shit, I've never seen one of these.
Because at the bare minimum, he has an academic interest in trying to look at all of this, and they're like, nah, you can't go see it, honky.
Or hell, maybe he was just looking for ideas.
Yeah, or just like, I want to see how this is really practiced. Like this, that would be awesome. That's something I want to see.
Oh yeah.
Hell, maybe he had read some Birdio and he was like, shit, dude, I just got to find some Yahoo out here that'll initiate me.
Oh my God. The idea of Kevin Sullivan reading fucking Michael Birdio before he goes and fucking body slams something. It'd be wonderful.
Oh,
what a world.
What a Castaneda.
See, that's something I feel like he probably, just because he was like that age.
Well, because Birdio would be
when did the Don Juan books come out?
Teachers in Don Juan are like late 60s.
Oh yeah. So he would have been about the right age to like be
68,
picking that up as a young guy.
Well, yeah, because then right there, then like Voodoo Gnostic Workbook comes out not that long after. Kenneth Grant's been writing shit in this period. Like all it's all right there. But that's the problem too, is that when you say, oh, so and so had an interest in the occult, it's like that could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So
yeah,
who knows? But I do personally really, you know, like I think that would be very funny. But that's all I could say. It's like, man, wouldn't it be funny if
the Ultimate Warrior was in a voodoo ceremony?
Oh no, see, have you read the Ultimate Warrior shit? The Ultimate Warrior is like a magic person. He's just fucking insane though.
Oh yeah. Like he used to ad-lib all of his promos. Like that shit, his promos are insane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in fact, here's a clip of the Ultimate Warrior saying something. Just anything.
No meeting with the gods from the heavens above as they spoke to me and hit me with the power of the Ultimate Warrior. With the command of my voice, I raised the level of the warriors to one that can't be reproduced. The heavens have opened up from above and the warriors have spoken. You felt the power that makes the skies rumble and the earth shake.
God, you're going to bring back the fucking...
I need scissors. Fucking
yeah, that's what I was about to say. You're gonna bring back the fucking spoony nostalgia critic era of them making jokes about that shit.
Yeah, Ultimate Warrior. That's someone I hadn't even thought about. Like Ultimate Warrior is like he has a whole metaphysics. Like it's again completely insane, but he has this whole like, you know what it is? Actually, it's like a hyper masculine warrior ethos. So it fits right in with like the right wing occultism trend that we have on 100%. This episode. Because like Ultimate Warrior would definitely be on some of this shit. He'd be like, he would read some Geunon and take away the worst possible pieces of it.
He'd be doing some shitty ass Spartan themed CrossFit class.
What about do you guys ever see the Roddy Piper commentary for They Live? And he talks about like, he basically gives the impression that he thinks like stuff like this really happened. Like, yeah, man, like, you know.
He starts talking about it, and then the I can't remember who's doing the commentary with him. It's either the writer or the director or something. That. Oh, well, after this, we will enlighten you to this. Man. It's fucking Roddy Piper seemed to, at least on the commentary for They Live, think that They Live was real.
Yeah, like it was based on true events.
Yeah. No, he's not crazy enough to be like, oh yeah, the movie I made that really happened to me. I mean, maybe he was. He's been hit in the head a lot.
This was a hyper sigil before the Invisibles. Like, no, you don't understand.
But he seemed to think that this was based on true events, like that there was actually an alien, like that we had discovered it too.
Yeah,
it's good, man. It's really good that we stopped this.
Which I guess to circle back to the original side of this, where we discussed that the type of person that would be really into the idea of being a wrestler would be someone that's like into magic. Well, and you know, of course they're the kind of people that are also into really crazy stuff like that. And
Yeah, wrestlers
there's
are
a ton of
nuts.
them are like QAnoners and stuff, obviously.
And then there's Moxley.
Oh,
man.
Jabbing spikes into himself for your attention. I don't even follow wrestling. I just see weird shit like that. It's like, he did what now?
Yeah.
Damn, I miss you, Dean. What happened? You used to hit other people with the spikes.
I remember seeing like some old CZW footage from him, like in his death matches. So I'm not surprised he did it.
Yeah, well, he's just a sadist, is what it is. It's just
he's fucking out there.
This is the author's vague, thinly disguised fetish, except it's a wrestling match.
Yeah.
I hate this. I hate to do this, but the fact is, like, you really summed it up in the idea. It's like, yeah, wrestling probably Kevin Sullivan is an interesting example of somebody who at least purportedly might have had some genuine occult interest.
Well, also there's a general level of I don't want to say respectability here, but there's like a more serious understanding of a wrestler like Kevin Sullivan than there is, like, even though Roddy Piper is a much more famous person and a legend, Roddy Piper was like he's a meathead fucking crazy person, even not just in character.
He was a crazy guy in general.
But like Kevin Sullivan was like, he was in the creative side of things. He was
the Booker man.
Yeah, he was a more learned type of individual. So it makes sense that he would be the positive end of this as opposed to the Roddy Piper end of this.
Or the Ultimate Warrior end of this, where it's like, but just the fact is that to be in wrestling in general, especially to be someone who's going to put yourself out in the ring and, like, wrestling might be fake, but the injuries these guys sustain over many years is very real.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To do that, you've got to be kind of nuts.
Oh, 100%.
In the same way that there's an abundance of musicians and creative types that are into the occult and fringe,
right?
Compared to, like, the amount, how many, like, I'm not saying there aren't a lot, there isn't like a notable amount of them, but how many occultists are in accounting? Certain livelihoods, certain lifestyles attract a certain
Wasn't
type
Lon
of.
Milo an accountant?
He was also a musician, though.
You get you a man who can do both.
I want a man in finance. I want a man. I want a man in occultism. No, but the point being, and, like, sure, there's always exceptions, but I was making the point that, like, there are certain livelihoods, professions, lifestyles that attract certain types of people who are more prone to the spooky woo-woo.
No, I agree, because, like, most people you meet, like, especially practicing occultists, are usually in a creative industry, or definitely have very strong creative interests.
Or really wish they were, but instead they got to operate this damn forklift.
100%.
But at the same time, the Brotherhood of the Blue Collar Magi knows that it's actually a good thing to know how to work with your hands and operate machinery and do things that produce real tangible results. Because if you're a magician and all you figured out is Excel, I mean, like, I don't know what to do for you, brother.
I can do a lot with Excel. Yeah. I can crash my computer.
Makes me think of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Exactly. Oh, man.
That's one we should tackle at some point. That'd be a fun thing to go back to.
It's kind of a bleak book.
I mean, oh yeah, there was one more I wanted to talk about. There's another wrestler that has a very forward-facing occult image.
Oh, Malachi or Aleister Black?
That's exactly what I was about to say. The man, he called himself Aleister Black. Like, come on. This guy has to be into the occult, right?
And he is. All he's really said publicly is that he's fascinated by the occult. He's basically said that he was raised in a cult. He hasn't used those words. The words he uses, it was very cult-like. Because he's aware of what it's like to grow up in that environment and doesn't want to hold it against those people or people that are currently in that environment. So he seems to be very kind of aware of that and wants to use language to try and not disparage people in that situation.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he seems pretty swell.
Here's the real question, though. Why Malachi?
Children of the Corn?
See, again, DD proving he's smarter than me, folks. We're going to have DD on the show from now on because they're clearly doing a better job of this than I am.
Oh, you're going to regret it real quick.
All right.
It's nice when it's not me that's getting replaced for once.
Well, you're just going to be replaced with ChatGPT because you don't contribute enough to the show.
Hold on, let me type that. Let me type this prompt in. Go fuck yourself.
So, man, it'd be funny if he just does a bit and just like mutes himself for a while, acts like he left.
Especially because they're the one that has to do the next segment, because I didn't do any of the notes for that. Just be you and me. Right? You're just sit here like, well, we can't do the news.
Well, just let's Google some shit.
Jamie, pull that up.
All right.
That is a Bigfoot.
Well, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment of the show.
All right, kids. Everybody say it with me. What's in the
You see, he does it.
You
for
should
real
just like
every fucking episode.
You should just do like cut ups of like you hear like it cuts away. You hear just like a clock ticking, like
No, just put the SpongeBob 8 hours later.
8 hours later. Yeah. All right. This is another situation of we got a lot to cover, and I honestly don't know how much of it we're really gonna get through. Mostly because a lot of it's just fucking depressing.
Yeah. If we got to do
Guys,
rapid fire single
are you guys
comments,
here?
we will.
Are you guys here for a good time?
Apparently
we're
not.
not.
In this
We're
life.
here. We're not. We're here for a bad time. Okay. So we will do a little bit of rapid fire. First off, I got added to this group chat. And I feel good that it wasn't just me, because if I had to do this story, it was going to take, it would at least be like another 2 weeks, because podcast editing takes time. But the Atlantic jumped on it. So yeah, apparently our powers that be, the men in charge of our military might and plans, just use like an unsecure app to do a group chat. And they literally say things like, hey guys, at like 6 o'clock, we're going to bomb the shit out of them. I can't wait. Bring marshmallows. Oh God, what is the gentleman's name? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting.
Which
Hegseth?
one? Hegseth?
The reporter himself.
Jeffrey Goldblum.
There you go. Jeffrey Goldblum really got the find of the century there. I mean, just sometimes stories just fall right into your fucking lap. And he was like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut about this whole thing, but because like, you know, I get like it's treason, I guess, if I say what I saw, but I also got added to this thing and I don't even know why. And meanwhile, Hegseth and everybody else are falling over themselves to say, oh, we don't know what possibly happened. And everybody might be jumping up and down saying this is horrible, but no one's suffering any consequences from the looks of it. Nothing bad is going to, like, you guys can just, I know whenever we talk about political hypocrisy, the answer is they don't fucking care. They don't care that they're hypocrites. But like we were talking about throwing people in prison over emails, right? Does anybody remember that from a couple years back?
Or using a private server.
Yeah. You know, that's the sort of thing. But meanwhile, like our military plans get leaked to the fucking press. I mean, like there's an alternate timeline where somebody saw that and just posted all of that shit immediately.
Yeah, someone got added and someone saw this as their moment to be deep throat and, you know,
and they didn't give a shit and they were like, all right, shit, I'm getting my passport. I'm getting on a plane out of this country, and then I am posting all of the shit immediately. Not that it would have really stopped anything, but it does show you like the thing that when I talked about the immigration thing, when it's like there's a lot of people upset when they point that like Joe Biden, when people are saying, man, Joe Biden supported more people in the first month than Trump, then like, it's not saying that that's a good thing. It's showing that even the things that the Trump administration claims to think is so important and care about, they're bad at and they're incompetent. Now, they proved us wrong about the immigration thing. We'll get to that in a minute. But it does show you that by and large, these motherfuckers are incompetent, like grossly incompetent.
Yeah, I was listening to Chris Catrone over in Sublation like a couple of weeks ago, like before this shit even happened. He was talking about Doge and how it was sort of a tacit approval of the idea of dismantling the bureaucracy of this country because it's ultimately a weapon of the capitalist structure or whatever. But he made the point to say, like, yeah, but that's not to say that the way they're doing any of this is good. This is total amateur hour. That's because, you know, the people in charge of this are not politicians. They're fucking, you know, they're business people maybe, but like they've never dealt with actual politics in their fucking life. They're fucking grifters and crazy people. He didn't say it like that, and he probably would disapprove of the way I'm phrasing this.
But that was your takeaway.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because that was my immediate thought when I saw this. I was like, oh yeah, it's fucking amateur hour over there. They don't, no one. The reason that something like this could happen is because everyone that's in the huddle there doing that has never been in a position like this before. They might have, you know, JD Vance has been a politician, but he's never been one that actually fucking mattered. And now he's talking about like, well, I just don't think we should bail out Europe. It makes me so mad.
He didn't even say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Europe even say thank you once for when we bombed Yemen? There you go. I shouldn't have given you that joke, but it was too easy.
It shouldn't be controversial to say it because people were saying it before he even got appointed. This man has no business being in the position he's in.
No.
Yeah.
He's only in it because he's a yes man and a lapdog. And, he has proven himself to be as incompetent as we expected. If anybody is familiar with the old book, the Peter Principle, I believe it's called, talking about how people rise to positions of authority, and mostly people are elevated as they show competence, and they stop when they are shown to be incompetent, but they never really go back down. So everybody's going to rise to their level of incompetence. But this is even better. This is somebody elevated far beyond their own level of incompetence.
Well, that's the Trump presidency in a nutshell, ain't it?
Yeah.
Like everyone here has no business being here. And that's, I mean, we can make the argument that, yeah, that's from like a good, like liberal, democratic, bourgeois perspective.
No. I'm talking terms of practicality too.
Oh,
It's
well,
like
that's what I'm saying.
If
like,
your
just
goal,
in a
because
general
it's like you said,
sense,
if your goal was to dismantle, hell, if your goal was to bomb the shit out of Yemen, I don't think that's a good move. But there are people that are that would be far better equipped to do it.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to dismantle the whole of the government, there are people that would be much more well equipped to do it. The only people that are interested in doing it are these schmucks. Other people have pointed it out, but it's like, man, people were more upset that it got leaked than about them actually doing it. And it's like, well, yeah, the American war machine has been going on my entire adult life. Like, this doesn't surprise me. It's not that I don't think it's bad. It's just I'm not fucking surprised.
yeah. The surprising part is that we found out from an Atlantic journalist getting added to a group chat.
Yes.
That's the part that's the surprising part. The bombing Yemen
US
thing was
bombs somebody every single day.
every minute. Like, hang on, give
Now,
me a moment.
here's my question, guys. Like,
There's another
and this
one.
is, I really don't want to, you know how we talk about things on this show and then sometimes they just like, we make a joke about something and then it happens, or we talk about something that we haven't discussed in a long time and then it pops back up in the news cycle. Call it confirmation bias, call it whatever you want. But does anybody want to put like $5 on if this is going to happen again?
Yeah,
I would put
not?
good. I would put.
Before
I
or
will.
after he gets fired, or
Before this
he'll
episode
resign.
comes out.
He'll
I
resign.
will. I will put $5 on that. Maybe it won't be the exact same situation, but somehow there's going to be a gross, a gross negligent leak of military maneuvers within the year. Basically, I think
I know
within the
that's
year
gonna
there's
happen.
going to be
100% that's gonna
enough.
happen.
But and here's my caveat is that it's going to be because they're still using like Signal or some other bullshit. Like some guy's
Like
gonna be on.
Telegram?
They'll probably just Facebook post
Yeah,
it.
one of these assholes is going to be on Grindr telling their fucking booty call about it.
There's log cabin guys.
Yep. Okay, moving
Not
on.
to spend too much longer on it, but I have to say this because I saw this opinion for the first time today. What do we think of the idea of this being an op? And they were like, oh no, they wanted to get that out there without bombing Yemen or give them
They're not that smart.
Yeah, what they're not.
No.
Not only are they not that smart, but
They're
what
not that
purpose does it?
competent.
What
People have to
purpose
come-
does it even serve?
Idiot. That's the problem is that when you the motherfuckers that support people like this, or the motherfuckers that want to build idiots into demons. Like, don't get me wrong, they're demons. These are awful, evil people, but they want to build them up into like, you know, supervillains or arch fiends that are diabolical and planning, rather than they're evil because they're stupid.
I
You
don't know
know?
if you believe that Trump is a Russian asset.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And if he's one, there's going to be more in there. So this would play into the Russian playbook they came up with in like the 40s or 50s. They would do it on purpose to sow doubt in the government institution itself so that people would have less reason to trust the government, to push against it and just cause more
We're already
turmoil.
there, though.
But they're not that smart. They're not that competent.
Yeah, but that's kind of my argument is that with stuff like this, it's like they did it with Trump during the last, it's the 5D chess thing where it's like you have to somehow elevate stupid moves into cunning plans because you really want the person in charge to be smart. And it's even on the other, there's either the people that are trying to glorify this man thinking there's no way he's that dumb, or there's people that want to be afraid and in fear. So they have to build this person up into a supervillain rather than the sad middle ground of dumb people do really dumb things. And my $5,
and dumb people
my $5 said it's going to happen again.
All right, moving on.
Okay, Trump basically, we can use a couple different examples, but the restoring truth and sanity to American history, the stuff that's been going on with the University of Columbia, among other things, the dismantling of, you said,
getting rid of the Department of Education.
The Department of Education, that was the last one. It's like basically the Trump admin has found their lever, and it's the only lever that they seem to have at this point. How long they're going to get away with it is up for debate. But the you said thing just got cleared, so it's we might be in for the long haul of bad shit happening. But they found that the only option they have is I'm going to stop giving you money if you don't start doing what I tell you to, which is like.
Capitalism make the world go round.
Yeah, but it's also like, that's
extortion.
Also, it's not a power that you should. It's not
Yeah.
a power that you should actually have. Like the president doesn't have the power of the purse. Congress does, but Congress needs to like pull themselves
Congress is
together and
fucking-
actually do something.
Congress is fucking. It's castrated. It's been castrated since when? Like I don't know, pre-Obama. The Congress is just sort of a bully pulpit for whoever the president is to whip his boys into shape, or if they're an opposition party, the best they can do is grind things to a halt. And the worst thing they can do is actively collaborate with the other side to destroy unions and shit and pass crime bills. Like that's what it's for. There's no real authority in these people. If there was, then the Trump presidency wouldn't be this game of, hey, we're going to fuck everything up. And then we're like, oh, we're going to take it to the courts.
I mean, the last time Congress kind of had balls was Nixon because they wouldn't approve his declaration of war to Vietnam. That's why it was a police action.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like that's.
Yeah, but I was going to say that reveals the same thing. If it's like, well, it's not a declaration of war. It's something else.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so
no,
we're
you're
going to
still
be over here doing something.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, what it is, it's napalm sticks to kids. Why are call it what the fuck you want. It's still fucking disgusting. But that's what I'm talking about, where the war machine has been killing people my entire life. Yeah. With so
maybe one
there
day
you go.
off.
They might have taken an off day when I was about 4. That's where we're at. Speaking of kids and getting destroyed, let's talk about Israel first. So while we've been away doing other stuff, Israel has basically said, that ceasefire? Nah, fam.
What ceasefire?
Yeah, what ceasefire? So that's lovely. America,
you didn't release all the hostages quick enough.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They would have found. They would have
innocent civilians.
Yeah, a tyrant will always find an excuse for his tyranny. It does.
But look at all
matter.
the people protesting against Hamas in Gaza.
Netanyahu gave Fetterman a silver-plated beeper, so that shows you the level of seriousness and somber.
Wait, if I fall and get brain damage, I can become like one of the in crowd? Sign me up. Where's Sterakaida?
It's pretty much
where Al Clima. Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty much where we're at, honestly, because you'd have to be like brain damaged to be supporting Israel at this point.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that is ultimately so disgusting about this.
I think it's okay if you at the start of this had hangups, and people always like, oh no, there was never no, you should have known from it. It's like it's okay to not have all the facts. It's okay to be misinformed. It's okay. What's not okay is looking at the current situation right now and saying that it's still fine and saying that it's like, no, this is bad. It's like, this is
keep
disgusting.
that foothold in the Middle East, man.
Look, we're just going to take the Palestinians and move them somewhere else. It's fine. Every time that's happened in history has been perfectly fine.
Yeah, that worked out.
Wasn't terrible. Every time.
Look at America. We're the best example of how to patronize someone.
Check it out. They got casinos now.
Hell yeah. I mean, granted, we still try and take those away from them every single year, but
also it's great because it's like you got the Las Vegas Strip, you're going to have the Gaza Strip, and we're going to put casinos there because Trump says he wants it.
It'll be the Trump Strip.
I love that this man is like looking at geopolitics like it's a shopping spree. Like, and I want that, and I want that. Put that on my card.
I want Greenland.
Yeah.
Guys, he's playing Monopoly, right? Like that's pretty much what this is. It's
all
right. Landon, I'm gonna buy Greenland. What
But
do you mean I
the
can't
thing
build
is
hotels on there yet?
and I'm gonna be the first. I'm gonna be the first to say this on the show, at least because I know we've all talked about it at this point. But like I was saying, yeah, Joe Biden's an old coot with tapioca dribbling down his chin, and everybody was like, "Nah, you can't talk about this guy's mental state. He's fine. Nothing's wrong." I'm gonna say the same deal with fucking Trump, man. Trump crazy. He just out his mind. He got handlers that are keeping him from saying stupid shit, but it doesn't work very well.
And JD Vance.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He's an old coot. So like when he says, "Yeah, we're gonna buy the Gaza Strip, or we're gonna take over the Gaza Strip," he's just saying shit. He's just saying nonsense.
Well, but the part that he's very serious about is that he's going to let Israel remove all the Palestinians.
Yeah, but that was going to happen if Kamala won too. So, what's it
obviously,
matter?
But
Coke or Pepsi.
But we did get him sharing the lovely AI video on Truth Social with the dancing bearded ladies.
Oh God, I forgot.
We wouldn't have got that with Kamala. So I mean, that's an up in my book.
Yeah. What, you want Brat Summer? Nope.
Getting your bearded lady summer.
And then Hamdan Bala, the director of No Other Land, which won an award last year, got the shit kicked out of him and detained by Israeli forces. He was released not too long ago, which I think most people that heard the story thought it was like, well, he's dead, he's gone.
Oh, I immediately thought
it's only because he has so many eyes on him that they probably bothered to let him go. Imagine how many people probably had this exact same thing happen to him and they were never heard.
Still, I expected it to be a full Khashoggi moment. I thought they were gonna they were gonna say they released him, and then we were gonna see guys walking out with blood-stained black bags. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just disgusting. And the thing to remember is that Israel is able to get away with what it does is because of the American war machine.
Yeah,
we need an ally and a foothold in that area, so we are going to back them up 100% forever.
Yeah,
and now the other thing to remember too is that it has now gotten to the point in America where they're pointing fingers, where they say, "Oh, you don't like that? We're going to deport you, or we're going to throw you in prison, or we're going to pull your fucking funding." And you know what it makes me think of is that it's because you're allowed to say whatever crazy thing you want in America as long as it doesn't present a viable threat.
Right. It's why you're allowed to talk about Marxism.
That's why I can say that I think, that's why I can think that Marx knew what he was talking about. That's why I can say that, I think universal basic income is probably a great way to go. It's why I can say all kinds of stuff. But apparently now there's enough dissent as far as support for Israel that they feel it represents a tangible threat. So they're going to send the shit kickers in.
Yeah, it's so weird that the Nazis are on the side of Israel. That's just insane to me. What fucking bizarre land are we in?
History begins as tragedy and comes back as farce, or whatever the quote is.
Yeah. Historical characters appear on the world stage twice. First as tragedy, then as farce.
Yeah. So there you go. So perhaps in a way, this pushback is representing the fact that there is a genuine undercurrent of disdain and disapproval that is building in the masses.
Yeah. Well, there's a very tangible argument that the Gaza situation is the strongest indicator of political alignment in this country right now.
Which is why the Democrats ignored it last election. Did anybody remember that headline? Did anybody remember that headline where they said nah, just don't don't do anything about that.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? It was such a big deal that they couldn't, that a sizable portion of people did not show up to vote for them.
Yeah, I mean, when you base your entire platform on two things, which is saving democracy and then marginalized people's rights, so transgender rights, like, if that's your entire platform, I mean, you're not going to really go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, just because you're not appealing to enough people, because there's, it's like 16%, I think, is the statistic of like transgender people in America. And I don't know, I hate to say it because I feel like a fucking asshole, but you shouldn't build a platform.
That's
on
why
it.
You're on the show.
Well, I mean, it's
I agree with it.
Well, yeah, well, that's the point. And it's like, I understand that there's, the idea of supporting trans people shouldn't be, it's not really negotiable in a sense.
It's a human rights issue.
It's just not something that has worked. The Democratic Party went from being liberal progressives to being identity politics progressives, because they completely abandoned the labor movement until it's election season, and then they show up with the UAW, and we can talk about the issues with that. But
here's me with the Teamsters. But then even as far as their id poll, it's all performative.
Well, no, I mean, that's the whole point, because obviously it's performative, just like any other thing that they presented. But the only tangible things that they attempted to do were what? Supporting genocide and holding decorum in politics. Like that. Yeah, those are the things that they put their, that's what they set their money on. And the only issues that were, presented, as they put it, as non-negotiables, the way I'm talking about them, were, again, this performative idea of protections for marginalized peoples of various kinds. But you can't, even if that was a viable option to coordinate people around, even if having those simple baseline principles in comparison to a Trump administration was enough to get you through. The fact that Joe Biden was elected indicates that it probably was, at least at one time. But all of that combined with, oh yeah, but ignore the genocide, destroys you. You can't base any sort of semblance of like, well, oh yeah, we're the human rights party. We're the party that cares about having an actual democracy. But oh, never mind, unless you're talking about Israel, because the rules for Israel are completely different.
I think that's about all I got to say.
Yeah, this has gotten very sad.
Yeah. Well, it's okay because we've said all this, so we will soon be disappearing to an El Salvador prison.
Yep.
Yay.
That's something that's going on right now, guys, and everyone's just like, "Oh boy, that's fucked up."
Christy, we're doing like a fucking press release from a El Salvador prison. What the fuck?
It's gonna be like the Guantanamo Bay photos. That's what we're gonna look back on that the exact same way.
Like, oh, Guantanamo Bay was nice. It's like an all like 5-star all-inclusive resort.
Oh, don't worry, we're sending people there still.
Oh yeah, we're
sending folks.
Remember Obama was going to close that? What happened to him?
He didn't.
How Obama's doing? Yeah,
I was, but let me be clear, I didn't. Where are my Marlboros? Michelle, where's my Marlboro?
God damn it! All right, rapid fire, some more depression.
Rapid fire depression. Actually, I think we've gotten through a lot of the really, really sad ones. Measles are back. Do you guys like measles?
Oh, Jesus. We had our first, one of our first reported cases in Kansas not too long ago.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
Oh, joy. A notable headline was that a woman who lost one of her children to measles was still doubling down. Like, nah, man, vaccines are bad. I know I lost my kid, but like, nah.
Oh, yeah.
RFK knows what he's talking about. You just got to you got to eat your super beets, man.
Yeah. The quote that stuck out to me from her was, "It wasn't that bad. Like, bitch, your kid died. It can't get any worse.
Your kid's dead. What's wrong with you?
That's as worse as it gets."
I'm not even saying like here's the thing. I understand that even with vaccines and with all the medical treatment, horrible things can still happen and you can lose a child. You would imagine that would actually matter to somebody.
Yeah.
But this person is like, nah, who cares? So it's very sad that he's dead. But I get to be on the talkie box. So like,
I mean, here's the reality of the situation, right? it might be as tragic as it is that this was a really dumb person whose child just died. And they were right there with a bunch of fucking grifters and people ready to use them for political messaging saying, look, you better come out there and like swing for us because we're the only way you're going to be able to pay the legal fees when they inevitably try to put you on trial for murdering your child.
Man, yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah.
Pulling back the bigger
I mean,
picture
I
here.
could see that happening, but at the same time, with where it happened, I mean, in Texas, like, I could see her just fucking doing it on her own.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I'm just saying it's both of these are possible, and the fact that a child died over this
simultaneously possible, actually.
All I'm saying is you've never been in a paradigm strong enough for your child to die, and then you're going like, nah, it's still the fucking vaccines, man.
No, like,
all right,
it's such an easy fix. Like, I don't fucking get it. People are crazy.
It's really fucked up and sick. Yeah, but it's just it's that thing though where you got to remember that like it's not that people. It's like when I was talking about climate change 2 episodes ago. It's like it's not that these people are stupid because they might be stupid and easily swayed, but it's also there's a lot of money from worse and like grossly incompetent and stupid, but also wealthy and evil people who have a vested interest in trying to do this because of their political agenda. These people are the unwitting pawns of demonic forces. And I don't mean demonic in a spiritual sense. I mean demonic in like a look at it moral kind of way. As a woo-woo, I think demons are better than this.
Yeah.
Colonic wouldn't do this to me. The Archons would not be okay with this. Or maybe
the Archons would at least make a competent.
It even makes the demiurge cringe.
Yeah. Okay. We're still rapid firing. All right. You know what's really fucked up is that even you can do everything right and still get fucked up because patient dies after getting rabies from an organ transplant.
Yeah, that's insane. Man. Rabies has to be like the worst way to go.
Isn't that a fucking Scrubs episode?
Scrubs? I mean, I fucking Zach Braff doing like a sing song and dance, and then it's like, oh, you got rabies. Are you sure you weren't thinking like House? That feels like a House episode, maybe.
It might be a House episode, but I seem to remember like there being
What's
one
funny
of the more
about
serious.
that?
Well, Scrubs had like the drama side to it as well.
Oh,
like it's like
the drama wasn't
funny,
great on
and
that
then it's
show.
like, oh yeah. I mean, it's not because the way it works is that you have an idiot man-child running around like a medical facility having goofy adventures, and then I'm supposed to like simultaneously be like his dad's he has problems with his dad, but he loves him, but he's sad and conflicted. It's like, no, I don't care about this. The janitor literally came out and told me how to scalp someone and shrink their head. What is this about?
The janitor was the best part of that show.
Oh my God. We're not talking about Scrubs anymore. Moving on.
I know the episode where JD finds out that he's in what's that Harrison Ford movie where he's The Fugitive?
The Fugitive, yeah.
Like, freeze! That's a pretty good episode.
Because the actor was actually in the movie.
I can't stand y'all. Okay, 23andMe bankrupt, and now all that DNA, that sweet DNA catalog is up for sale. So
23, you said?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe you know what would be great if some company can buy all that DNA data and start like cloning and printing, like 3D printing organs, so you don't have to get a rabies transplant. No, this is going to be horrific because like I'm honestly
the state's going to get it.
Oh well, they've already got access to it where they're figuring out who somebody is by like looking at the DNA markers and then finding like your grandma and your auntie.
Oh yeah, that's how they found. Found Golden State. Yeah,
which is awful. That's like that is a gross violation of everybody's like everyone involved really. But that now the state's already got a hold of it. I'm expecting I'm really waiting for insurance companies to get in on this where they're like, all right, you got the marker for this, and this, and it's just Gattaca.
No insurance, yeah. No insurance.
Yeah.
Also, you can't work for certain employers anymore.
And then eventually it's going to be you can't have a kid.
Yeah, and then it'll be the caste system, and we'll go back to the golden age from this iron age we're in.
Fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Florida child labor laws still getting sad.
God. Can work overnight on school nights. Jesus.
I mean, like, it's gonna get worse. I'm just
We
waiting
just
for like
don't-
the
People
let the
isn't it, you know what? That's another instance of, shit that we talked about on the podcast that has horrifically multiplied. Because we
talked
made the
about
joke.
this.
Yeah, we were talking about, the meat packing plants. And what were your
Yeah.
exact words? Do you remember?
No, but my delightful editor will put them in right here.
Nobody wants to work. Bring us your
Give us
child.
your. Oh, I remember now. Give us your child. Give us your child. Yeah, and that's exactly what fucking happened. God damn it! I hate it when I'm right.
There's truth in
Okay.
the bit.
Okay. All right, guys. We are getting very sad very quick. You know who else was sad? The Vance family when they visited Greenland and no one wanted to come. No one wanted to come. They didn't
Why
even
did they
say.
think that?
They didn't say please or thank you. Imagine like saying we're gonna buy your country and then like showing up and be like, why doesn't anyone want to talk to us? It's like because you're a weirdo. Like what
And
the
then
fuck
trying
is
to
wrong with
shake Denmark for how Greenland's doing. What the fuck? You got beef with
Oh,
Leif
boy.
Erikson, man?
Oh man, I shouldn't have put this so low on the list, but it's more of a spooky woo-woo headline because I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? We'll get to that when we get into it because I got 2 woo-woo headlines. I got 2 like follow up on old story headlines, and then I have a show stop.
All right, well here, come on, let's do the follow up ones real quick then.
Okay, the gold toilet thieves we mentioned 2 episodes ago found guilty. What a fucking joke!
This is Bree, my
Boo.
homie that stole the gold toilet. He didn't
Free
do
the-
shit.
They didn't do a shit
didn't
on the
take a
toilet. The man who bombed the Satanic Temple pleads guilty, though I'm looking forward to Donald Trump pardoning him because that seems like where we're going.
Oh my God.
He's going to be like, they were
probably will.
Satanists. They were Satanists.
They were
deserved
Satanists.
it.
I saw them. They were hanging out with that Kevin Sullivan guy.
Hey, he
Rip Kevin
does
Sullivan.
like fucking wrestling.
Yeah, but he was like a WWF dude.
Oh, man.
Yeah. He believes that fucking wrestling is real.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, like, oh man.
In all fairness, if you hung out with Vince McMahon, you'd probably be questioning if it was real too.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking acting like he's a fucking evil businessman.
He's just an evil dude. Who would have thought that Mr. McMahon was Vince McMahon toned down?
With
we're gonna
less
get
purple lips.
we're gonna have Coco on the next episode, but to talk about this because he knows stuff about it. But the Moonies got told to disband in Japan, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say about it right now, but like
You can't kill a prime minister.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Actually, you know what?
Moonies
The
and-
guy, he was an anti-Mooney, but everyone knows
He
that
won.
Shinzo
That's
died.
what I'm hearing.
That's
what I'm hearing.
that's
Is that
everyone
this
knows
guy-
that Shinzo Abe got popped for being in bed with the Moonies, and they were like, "Well, we probably need to deal with that somehow."
That sounds like fucking Japan's MacGyver actually got what he wanted, which is fucked up, I suppose. But like,
I think he's getting
Yeah.
the death penalty.
I don't think he cares. Okay, the astronauts that have been up there for months and months and months got brought back home. If you
Yay.
believe that it's actually them,
Yeah.
It was close.
I'm going firmly that these are deep fake AIs and that these astronauts
Are
were
dead
left
up
up there.
there.
No, they got left up there because there's something that was on the Earth that needed to not be on the Earth anymore, and it needed to stay up there. But the problem is that is not dead, which can eternal lie.
And with strange Elon's, even death may die. Yeah.
That's the joke.
There was that sci-fi movie a few years back where it was like some virus and contaminated like the space station or whatever and broke out. And I remember hearing like from a bunch of truthers like, this is the real thing that's going to happen with ISS.
Yeah.
It could be.
So that's all the really fucked up, depressing stuff. You guys want to hear some woo-woo headlines?
Sure.
Please.
Well, I don't know. This one will probably honestly still be depressing, but we'll start with this one. Chuck Schumer's got like Midwest tulpa couple.
What?
Chuck
Is that a
Schumer has
sentence?
like Chuck Schumer
Yeah.
of the Democratic Party
Yes.
has an imaginary Midwestern couple known as the Baileys. that
What?
live in
Follow
that,
him around or
that
Are
like
they in
live
the
in
Does he
room with
cuck
us
for
right now,
him?
Chuck?
they live in his head, and he like uses them as his like his barometer for like policy and stuff. Imagine you guys didn't know about this story? We were talking.
That's a very occult practice. He's more magic than you or I.
He's bad at it if he's conjuring up the Baileys. If your idea is like, I need like an average Joe family, and you conjure up this shit and that informs your policy, you're really bad at it. That's why it's important. That's why it's important that you have to clear your conceptions before you start attempting to build any kind of thought entity, man. Like otherwise you just get back your own twisted psychology.
Has he talked about the Baileys? Like who?
Well, you know what
are
Chuck
they like?
Schumer is,
bro. Are you guys? We were talking about this for a hot minute in the Discord. I thought we were all on the same page, guys. No, this is an absolutely real thing.
Was this the showstopper?
No, like it might be.
It is now. Explain, please. I'll be quiet.
I know I'm blowing this out of proportion probably, but essentially Schumer has described this middle-class imaginary couple known as the Baileys, Joe and Eileen. Joe works for an insurance company. Eileen is a part-time employee at a doctor's office. They worry about terrorism and about values, and they're patriots. Joe takes off his cap and sings along with the national anthem before the occasional Islander game. They're not ideologues. They're worried about property tax. It's the tax they hate, and that's what Democrats don't get. This man has conjured up this imaginary idea of like what the average fuck that he's trying to get votes from.
The average fuck isn't going to get behind the Islanders. No one's that dumb.
What in the actual fuck is this?
But also, you're going to put a hockey team in your imaginary middle class America? Like, middle class America ain't looking at fucking hockey, bro.
It's really entertaining to me because it's this idea of...
He works for an insurance agency and she works part-time in a doctor's office? Is this like 1994 for him?
What's
like,
really sad, just from that description, I know they're both white.
Obviously.
Like, speaks volumes on him.
I mean...
do they have 2.5 kids, you think? Like, because that's the average. Like, there's 2 kids, and then there's like half a little Timmy running around, because on average.
And they also have a dog and a half. The half dog and half kid are sewn together.
They did that in Full Metal Alchemist, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot. Here's the now, and you guys can look this up. Like literally, Google Chuck Schumer, the Baileys, and an article called "Imaginary Friends" will pop up from 2000. It's from 2000. It's from 2007 for the record. I want to say that.
Oh my God, what are they like now? You think?
Oh man, they're much worse, I'm sure.
Well, Joe got into Nazism.
And
Eileen now is on the Gwyneth Paltrow thing.
Yeah. This was just something that popped up, and I was like, I really wanted to talk about it, just mostly because Schumer is in the news constantly now. You know what I mean? As basically this gross, who gives a shit, I hope you fucking die if you didn't vote for us, monster man, who is just like, yeah, we're literally not going to do anything different. In fact, we're not going to learn from our mistakes. We're going to be worse. And this is the guy you're talking about. This is the man. Like, he's conjured up these. This is somebody who his idea of coming, like, and I understand the idea that almost 20 years ago, maybe this little caricature that he had might have been a little more realistic. But I doubt it.
I mean, I just think it's worse now, is what it's got to be. Because
I imagine
you don't get rid of that shit.
The Baileys are still there, and they're just like slow. They're driving him fucking bonkers. That's why he's like this. Is because he's got. They've become more real than they've become more real than his actual voting base, and that's why he's like this.
Jesus.
Oh man. I feel bad because I didn't know until like that's why I had to say it at the end. It's like, this is like from a long time ago, but it's funnier. It'd be funnier if he said that today. But I think now the only thing he does when reporters try to talk on him is like spit at them and say like, get the fuck away from me.
He claims that you're an anti-Semite.
Yeah. God. All right. Okay. Now, guys, there's something under the pyramids.
Yeah, it's trees.
No.
Saddam Hussein?
Yeah, is it Saddam Hussein? Is it gold?
It'd be very weird if It'd be really
Saddam
weird if
Hussein.
Saddam Hussein was back under there. Like, what? Why would
Hey,
you
they
take him
found
there?
one of his body doubles in that spider hole. He's in the other one.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right.
I'm just imagining like South Park Saddam Hussein.
So what has happened is that a combination of like sonar type imaging and then new proprietary scanning technology has uncovered like a big it looks almost like a thermal thing. It's like just a bunch of colors, and they're like, you see these particular colors mean that there's a big like column under the pyramids, and maybe it's got like a winding path. And then somebody else took it and it's like, well, I'm looking at it and I think these colors mean that there's like a direct mine shaft, like a complete chasm underneath it. And then somebody else was like, oh, and I'm looking at it and this scan, these colors represent my parents fighting and my inability to form meaningful attachments. Because that's what this bullshit is.
And this color
This is a bunch of
you want to have sex with your mom.
You see that column, this shaft right here is a penis, and you want to have sex with your mother. But yeah, that's what this fucking bullshit is. But it's like they're basically they put a bunch of like Graham Hancock type motherfuckers put a big old press release out saying, this is what this scan means, and they have no way of fucking backing that shit up. But everybody has run with it, and good for them. I love that. Personally, my kooky idea is that Lovecraft was right, and there's like a underground city from a pre-human race, and that's what's up on the space station.
That's why it's just a big chasm down there. It escaped, and now it's on the space station.
Yeah.
Dee, what do you think is under the pyramids?
Sand and water. I think there are tunnels under the pyramids just because that's been something that locals have said for a really long time.
Locals said that?
Oh, yeah. Shit. God damn it. And I imagine it probably has to do with like flood control within the pyramids themselves, kind of like an irrigation system almost.
I think it's how they sneak raccoons.
I don't think it's anything.
All right.
Like, it'd be awesome if it was like, I saw the anonymous video on their official YouTube channel where they were talking about this crap, and they took the kind of stance of like the Lovecraftian side of it. I'm like, I hope that's true. That would be awesome, but
That'd be so fucking dope.
This level of reality is not that exciting, bro. It's something lame. It's a bunch of gum. Like, it's the gum of the slaves they used to build the pyramids, and they just buried it with giant posts.
Everyone, as they're putting the block on, is just putting a piece of gum underneath it.
Like a time capsule. This is how they'll know me.
I mean, what's likely is what's actually under there is, like I said, nothing. And that this scanning technology that they're talking about, because, like I said, they did use the words proprietary, like, technology, so stuff that not other people have. It's probably a fucking crock. These are interpretations of signal and noise, that's the phrase.
Yeah.
But it is very funny to watch, like I said, these Graham Hancock types and people that are on the fringe, like people, because there's always the various levels of people that they have weird ideas, but they're trying to be grounded, versus people that like, they probably don't actually believe this, but they're the ones saying the craziest fucking thing.
Go
that's
full
how common
batshit with it if you're going to go batshit with it. Like, take a play out of David Icke's book, man. Just make up the craziest shit and run with it. That's the fun shit.
There's a fucking Starbucks under there. Yeah, it's like actually what's underneath the pyramids is an entire abandoned mall, because we've done all of this before up to this moment. There's an orange Julius,
an Office Max.
Actually, guys, I'm going to tell you what's under the pyramid, right? You go down the long winding corridor shaft that they were talking about, and you have to cross over a small moat, and you come to a big chamber door, and you open it, and you go inside, and there's a pedestal. And on that pedestal is a Samsung Galaxy 23S. And when you pick it up and open it, you will see that you have been added to a group chat with Pete Hegseth and JD Vance.
I really had to fight the urge to say D's nuts when you said you pick it up.
It is funny to watch the back and forth between these people of like folks that like, because they're all, there are some like respectable people, but there are respectable archaeologists and Egyptologists that are going to be like, yeah, this is nonsense because it's nonsense. But there's people that are like, I'm not going to name names, but there's a notable like spooky woo-woo guy who's also into this stuff. And he is just livid because he's like, these people are hoodwinking you. You saw a fucking image posted by the World Star hip hop page about the pyramids and you believed it. Why are you like this? But it is very entertaining. But at the same time, I love moments like this where there's just that weird glimmer of like, man, what if something fucking wild was under there?
That'd be awesome.
But what's probably under there is D's nuts.
Yep.
All
Maybe
right.
D's nuts.
Hey.
He said the thing. We've got one last one, and there's a million headlines like this a day. But you know what, guys? We love you, and I really think you need something that's going to cheer you up. And if hearing about tulpas and Midwestern tulpas and pyramid Denny's and everything else isn't really going to do it, what if I told you there was a Cheeto? Like, picture in your head a Cheeto, guys. A flaming hot Cheeto.
Oh,
but it's shaped like your favorite Pokemon. And
Psyduck?
I know what you're thinking. I didn't know what you were thinking. You're like, big man Blastoise. No. It's a Cheeto shaped like beloved flying dragon monster Charizard. A Cheeto-Zard, if you will. This is based, and you're thinking, oh, well, who gives a shit? It's just right. But what if I told you that this went to auction?
I would believe it. Was it on eBay?
It's not on eBay, apparently. It's on some other fucking
Sotheby's do it?
whatever the hell Golden is.
What the fuck?
Yeah, look, whatever. The point is, do you guys want to take a guess how much it sold for?
Is this in cryptocurrency or like real currency?
No, this says $1.
Hey, time out. Golden Auctions is like a legit auction house. They sell
like a
like
Sotheby's?
collectibles and shit.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
They sell like trading cards and shit like that. Or they auction them, rather. So someone was... that means that, like, they probably sell like Pokemon cards too and shit, right? So that means that someone was like, hey, you're not usually the guy I go to for this, but like,
it's very
Jesus Christ. So a legit place put this up for auction, and I'm guessing it went for, are we doing Prices Right rules or what?
Ooh.
You know what?
I'm down.
We'll do Prices
I don't
Right.
know the price either.
Who can get Who can get closest without going over? You'll win a prize at the end. I'll find you a Cheeto.
Prize is going to be Rat Boy coming to your house.
Yeah. Oh boy, don't say his name.
Too late.
Say it
All
3
right.
times he appears.
What do you guys think that this sold for?
$15,759.
That's a good guess. What do you think, Kennedy?
What was the last guess, Bob?
I wasn't paying attention. It started with a 15.
$15,759.
759,000 or whatever the number he said plus 1.
So $15,780.
All right, let's see what the price was. $87,800.
Jesus Christ. And you had to play it like a chicken shit too.
It was 60 bids over like,
oh my God.
Over basically a month. And it started at 250, which is already way too much. Even if you factor in there's like a Pokemon card display that's built around it. It's in a fancy acrylic box. That's already too much. And it just skyrockets over time.
$250 is the price of that display box. Those display boxes are expensive.
It starts there. It gets up to like 700, 800, 1,000. And there's no like huge leaps from the look of it. It just slowly but surely ticked up by like a couple hundred every so often. And hold on, let me see.
Who the hell would pay for
yeah,
that?
and then once it gets into like the 20,000 territory, it really just starts leaping, and then it's like it's one of those, when I see stuff like this, I always think about like, okay, just because that's what it's sold for doesn't mean that that's like they might not actually hawk up the money.
A lot of those places, if they're reputable, they make sure you can back up any bid you put forward.
Yeah, there's a contractual sort of.
You can
aspect.
see the hot glue holding this thing.
This is like two tech bros going at it.
This is like a joke. This is two guys like a bidding war.
This is bid balls.
It's two bots that like fucked each other. Like they met and they're like,
this is a money laundering scam.
This was Elon Musk and one of his other profiles that he forgot he set up when he was on ketamine,
fighting with himself.
Yep.
Yeah. So guys, I just want you to remember
at least
that
they'll have something that actually like is worth some money, I guess, then, right?
Jeez, no, they won't. It's never going to
there
sell for
is-
that much again. Never in a million years.
It's really important to remember, guys, that in a world of illusion, in this realm of Maya, right, where we assign values that are not tangible or backed up by anything, where things can be shifted and something is worth what someone's willing to pay, that means you can use that to your advantage. Look around your house and see if you find any weird shaped bullshit. Slap it onto the back of some cardboard. Put it in a box. You know what? Tell people lies. Say that it'll cure your gout. It'll keep your kid from getting measles. I don't know. Whatever you got to do. Say it looks like
maybe
whoever.
Not that last one. We're having a problem. A lot of unhappy people will be after you later.
Look, all I'm saying, we're in a world of there is a very simple magic to this sort of thing. That if you can find it and you can do something stupid with this, you too can make a lot of money over some stupid nonsense.
In my greenhouse, I'll post a picture in the Discord later. One of the banisters on the deck has wood grain that looks like Maria. It looks like the Virgin Mary praying. I'll post it in the Discord later, but it's fucking hilarious to me.
Please take all of my money.
Guys, I need to confess something, right? I bought the Charizard.
You spent all of our fucking Patreon money.
All of Patreon money, and I also mortgaged your house.
What? My house?
Chicago has a better property value. What can I say? But you guys want to know what I did with it?
Ate it.
I ate it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Exactly what
And
I
then
did.
shit it out like a Banksy. Oh, shit. Did you guys see the latest Banksy shit that happened?
Oh, no.
There was a Banksy thing at some art gallery, a Banksy unveiling, and some guy went in and spray painted "We Welcome Refugees" on all the walls and just like walked out. And like no one stopped him. Like I saw the video of it and I'm like,
Banksy,
is
right?
this Banksy doing it? Like, is that Banksy? No, the guy's too tall. Because at least in my mind, the guy was too tall. He was like 6'4", 6'5".
Banksy's a manlet, confirmed. Oh God.
You know what? I hadn't thought of that. Everyone, go to find some like bullshit art house like performance art thing. Because 9 times
and tell
out of
them
10,
you're Banksy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 9 times out of 10, when you go to those things, no one stops you doing anything because they think it's part of the performance.
Yeah.
You could at least get a couple wallets,
especially
and
on the
shit.
premiere night. That's when you really have
yeah.
to do it. That first night when they're giving away the free champagne and shit.
Just walk in there with a Cheeto and you're set.
You and a buddy walk in with a ladder and some vests, and then set something up, pull your dicks out, and just shit everywhere.
Yep, there you go.
And then you demand to be paid for it. Say, I'm Banksy. Do you know who I am?
Just write Banksy on the wall in your feces, and you're golden.
And if that doesn't work, just tell them you're the heir to the throne of Emperor Norton. Between all of those, you'll get somewhere.
Tell him you're Edward Norton. Tell him Emperor.
I'm researching a role.
All right, I think that's enough news for one day.
Oh God. Did we fight off the depression, guys? Viewers, are you still sad?
If you are, tell somebody you're Edward Norton.
We might have actually trailed off quite a bit and had meaningful conversations. We laughed, we cried, we learned a little bit about ourselves and a little bit about each other. But none of that's probably going to make it into the episode. What is going to make it into the episode is this culture piece, because this came out of the mind of Didi, where he wanted to delve into the sort of far right occultism, spooky woo-woo territory of the man behind the man, at least if that man was like 8 years ago, talking about Steve, whatever his middle name is, Bannon.
If it wasn't for Steve Bannon, we would never have got President Trump.
Yeah. And
it's his fault, everyone.
Those ripples are still being felt today. I mean, he probably can't even get a fucking phone call from the guy anymore, can he? Do you think he just like try to?
I don't fucking know.
He's like, you think he just try to act like he's like, Stevie, I can't be seen with you anymore. It's over.
He does go to Mar-a-Lago still.
Oh
so
shit. Well, I guess old habits die hard.
Yeah.
Well, this is cool. This is the first like read through that we've done of something with the person that wrote it.
Yeah, D has actually written essentially like an essay, something that would be befitting of YouTube intellectuals. But instead, it's going to be
you're overselling me. You are overselling me.
Nah, you're a genius. You're a genius.
God damn it. If
and
I'm
a man
genius, then what does that make Elon? Because I'm dumber than Elon.
That is very debatable.
Hold on, I gotta go and check my Tesla real quick.
How much ketamine have you done today?
Only like 4.
Yeah, you're doing great then. You're doing great. You're gonna knock this out of the park. All right. Your mother and I are very proud, and we just want you to do your thing.
Oh man, that's something he's never heard.
Everybody be quiet. D is gonna do his essay for the podcast. All right. Take it away, D.
All right, Steve Bannon's occult influences. Throughout his career, Steve Bannon has positioned himself as political strategist, media executive, and ideologue. However, beneath the surface of his political rhetoric lies a complex and often overlooked dimension: his engagement with esoteric philosophy, apocalyptic narratives, and traditionalist thought. His influences range from Julius Evola's mystical fascism to the cyclical historical theories of the fourth turning. These ideological frameworks contribute to a worldview that is not only political, but also deeply rooted in mystical and prophetic interpretations of history.
I will chime in real quick. So your contention is that like Julius Evola is actually a prime influence on Steve Bannon.
Oh, he said as much.
Right? He said that much?
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has mentioned
well,
that he loves Evola and especially his particular brand of accelerationism.
Shit. All right. Please
Evola
go.
is like the intellectual conservatives fascist. People that like Evola
rapist.
are
He's a wheelchair. Yeah. He was a wheelchair bound rapist. What are you talking about? Fuck this guy.
How? Just walk away. Go up some stairs.
He wasn't always in the wheelchair, people.
Like he's Professor Xavier. To me, my racist. Okay, so tell us about Steve and his boy Evola.
All right. Bannon has cited the far-right Italian thinker Julius Evola as an intellectual influence. Evola's work was deeply entrenched in esotericism, alchemy, and traditionalist philosophy. He rejected modernity, democracy, and materialism, advocating instead for a return to hierarchical, pre-modern societies ruled by a spiritual elite. Evola's influence on fascist and neo-reactionary movements has been well documented, and his incorporation of occult themes into his philosophy has resonated with certain far-right circles. Bannon's admiration for Evola suggests an Enlightenment with the traditionalist belief that history is a series of declines and rebirths, cycles that must be navigated by a strong, almost mythological leader. This perspective shapes his political rhetoric, framing contemporary events as part of a larger metaphysical battle between order and chaos.
Yeah, that's like 100% what's going on here.
But that's totally, and when you're talking about the sort of cyclical, you're talking like yugas and shit. Like, oh, baby, you don't understand. We into Kali Yuga.
Well, and again, traditionalists really like the Vedic scriptures because they're, incredibly old and they're supposedly closer to the perennial philosophy perennial tradition, right?
Isn't that cute?
Especially if you happen to be like on the white supremacist Nazi Aryan side of things, because then you're like, oh yes, it's the Aryan culture that all this comes from.
Yeah, and I also want to make sure the Kali Yuga doesn't refer to Kali the goddess, but it's
not
Kali the demon.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So, that's something that's often overlooked.
Yeah, I remember it was like a Jordan Peterson thing or somebody like that where where they were talking about Kali Yuga, right? And they said it's the goddess Kali, and it's like it's not. You fucking
It's not.
idiot.
Google
You could have taken a
could have
minute.
fixed
Just
that.
one Google search. Like that's all you have to do.
You know what my favorite thing about the demon Kali is?
He's dope.
The image that Wikipedia chooses to use of the demon Kali when you go to the Wikipedia page. Like there's
from
an
an
image of it.
advertisement.
It's from an advertisement. It was from an
About why you
anti-beef
shouldn't
advertisement.
Yeah, it's about why you shouldn't have a hamburger.
Yeah.
Because we got to end the Kali Yuga, man. Stop
could you
eating that burger.
you imagine getting like going to the Thor page for the god Thor, and then it's like a picture of fucking Chris Evans or whatever. What's the fucking Thor guy's name?
No, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth, and it's just the Chris Hemsworth one.
Okay.
No, it's worse. It's like imagine.
No, it's like
imagine if you went to think for like Jesus and you saw that billboard from that episode of Aquatine Hunger Force where Jesus is in the barrel of the gun.
That was Ted Nugent.
Oh, well, same thing. But the point being that like it's just another variation of like the hard men create good times create soft men make me hard.
Yeah, and the point that you made about it being focused on like a almost mythical leader, like no, it is a full-blown mythical leader. That's why like esoteric Hitlerism and shit is a thing. Like there's a sizable group of these people that think that these fascist leaders leading uprisings or these great warlord figures from history were like actual incarnated gods. That's part of what they think. And you notice again, just particularly in this administration, and I'm sure we'll get to the tech bro part of this that's going to be in there somewhere as well. But the point being that like if you look at the way they're doing it now, it's got like all the hallmarks of it, but it's like parody almost, because we have like our mythical god king who is Donald fucking Trump. Like
the only thing I'm gonna say we need to let D get back to this, but I'll put a capstone on this real quick. What it really comes down to is that the same people that want the same people whose idea of God is just a patriarchal sky daddy that tells you what to do. Because there are plenty of conceptions of God that do not fall into that. But the people that really like the idea that there is a God who is like a father, who is a lawgiver, who tells you where to pee and when to do it, those people carry that mentality onto their leaders.
Yes.
Right.
All right. You're a bitch made loser where you're like, oh yeah, we need a strong, fearless leader. And it's like, it's because you
cuck me, daddy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it fucking is. I don't care how much of an alpha you think you are. Your whole psychology is built.
If you're playing the alpha game, you're a cuck.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There you go. You're a fucking loser. I really like the idea that we should all just learn to be adults in our own right. And we don't need somebody to tell us how to live.
Oh man, you're going to Gitmo. Someone called.
Yeah.
I'll take you saying that stuff about Gaza, but you said that the my Andrew Tate classes weren't working out.
Oh,
I really do love.
I can't believe I'm going bald.
Hyatt had a great example of this where he talked about that he thought that the true coming of the new Aeon would amount to the abolition of mother and father gods, and we would all become brother and sister gods because we would all realize our own divinity. And he said that the coming of Horus as the child was coming to destroy all of that. Like that was the whole point, was that the hawk-headed Lord of War and the new Aeon had to have his say so that we could all get the fuck over our daddy. And I really, really love that.
You know who couldn't get over their daddy?
Aleister Crowley.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also Steve Bannon. Continue, DD.
All right. Apocalyptic and mystical rhetoric. Bannon often describes history in grand, almost mystical terms, presenting the modern era as a time of decay that will inevitably lead to crisis and rebirth. This idea closely mirrors traditional philosophy, which asserts that society must collapse before it can be renewed. A key text that informs Bannon's perspective is The Fourth Turning by William Strauss and Neil Howe. Is that how you say his name? Neil Howe?
That one, you got me. I have no clue. We'll say it's right. And you get to join the wonderful brotherhood of CMN of mispronouncing words.
Of butchering names.
Word. This book proposes that history moves in cycles approximately 80 to 100 years, with each cycle culminating in a period of crisis that destroys the old order and gives rise to a new one. Bannon has repeatedly cited this theory, arguing that the United States is currently experiencing a crisis phase, where society faces either total collapse or a radical transformation. His belief in this cyclical inevitability reinforces his apocalyptic worldview, shaping his advocacy for disruptive political change. Biblical and apocalyptic language. Bannon frequently uses religious and apocalyptic imagery in his rhetoric, framing political struggles as existential battles between good and evil. He invokes the Book of Revelation, warning of an impending reckoning, Judeo-Christian civilization versus satanic globalism, portraying his movement as an engaged holy war on the correct side. The storm narrative, a concept that resonates with esoteric and conspiratorial beliefs about an inevitable upheaval. His warnings of a coming dark age and existential threats to Western civilization align with the broader themes of religious apocalypse and far-right esoteric thought, where modern liberalism is often depicted as a force of corruption that must be purged. And that's the end of that section.
A lot of that is actually pretty box standard thing. Now, I would say
no. Here's the thing that you need to point out for a moment, right? The guy says that it's a system that always trends towards crisis and collapse, and it will have to collapse so it can be renewed. He talks about the need for. Well, I'm here. I'll stop burying the lead there. That's like Marxist thought. This is what happens when you have a necessarily revolutionary quote unquote idea, but you don't have anything to ground it in. You end up having like the same type of ideas and then being like, oh yeah, but why? It's because of the Bible. Because the Bible said so.
Well, the other thing I would go that the counterpoint here is like, to what extent does someone like Bannon believe that? Like, he might use those terms, he might couch it in, but it's also like, you like Evola, but then you're using like the biblical. It almost feels like it's probably just using the Bible as a weapon. You know, Book of Revelation shit's real easy to throw around when you know your audience.
Well, getting to be a trad type anyway, you get the luxury of being able to play with whatever religious symbols you want because it all points back to the real reality.
I guess the other thing too is like you wonder how much Bannon believes this stuff versus like he found ways to weaponize it properly. But I think part of it is like, because I just referred to Schumer, I think, and among other people, as like demons. And, you know, it's like it's very easy to fall into the trap of framing yourself as in a war of Manichaean good versus evil. But I think sometimes it's kind of easy because it's like, well, on one hand, these people are saying that they want to prevent the collapse of Western civilization, but like their solution for it is like, well, we need to just do more for billionaires. And the other side is like, I think people should have drinking water.
Yeah.
So it's like, sometimes it just feels very blatant and obvious, but I suppose to a certain group, it is pretty easy to frame the failure of global imperial hegemony and then saying like, this is just like liberalism fault. It's like they don't want us to. The real issue is it's like they want to upend our values, and that's why things are falling apart. Rather than
it's not that Western hegemony is falling back because of the inevitability.
It's unsustainable and awful.
Right. It's because like we've destroyed the undermining social values that made this a great country to begin with, which that's always, and you notice that's the big playbook of most conservatives, right? Is to point at the good times that were had in the history of a nation, and then point to the values that establish that and say that we've lost.
Well, and then it's always that problem that's like, man, these were the good times, and it's like all of the times that these groups will point to is like the good old days. It's like, we're not good. It's like they don't point to realities of times. They point to idealized fictions of times, which is really easy to do because they're made up. It's only when they go mask off where they're like, yeah, it was a good, I actually think it was a good time when women weren't able to have their own bank accounts. That's when that's like, oh, I see. I get it.
Do you think?
No, it's crazy to think about that. Women could not have their own bank account until like before 1974.
Right.
Like that's fucking insane. That's not that long ago.
No, it's not.
The shortness of the human lifespan will fuck up your perception of time. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, yeah.
It's like we're all existing and it's one of those like as much as like you can complain about the conditions of the modern world and all this stuff. It's like we live in a bubble of industrialized, highly technological society that thousands upon thousands of years of humans could not dream were possible.
Right.
I have electricity. I have light and heat whenever
we are three people that are hundreds of miles apart speaking
having
to
a
each
fucking
other.
Conversation.
Yeah. That's being
like,
recorded and stored on a magic box.
That's why my lion skin is coming in from Etsy the other day or tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
So I can get that goetic work going.
Yeah. And like we are living in a time of abundance and luxury by pretty much every other standard, but our perception of time will fuck you up and have you thinking very differently about it. And now there's also the other, like the dark truth of like the way we're living probably isn't sustainable unless we figure out like a lot of shit really fucking fast.
Well, and there's also there's the contradictions of contemporary life where we simultaneously have more access to things like information, entertainment, and comfort, and we have less privacy, less freedom, less ability to think.
Well, and then also like I guess there's the thing of like the average medieval peasant had more off days than the American worker.
Yeah, but they also couldn't read a book.
Yeah, and then it's the contradiction. And the other thing too is it's like when it comes down to it, is it necessarily a good thing that we live the way that we do? Like, is it good? Is it really beneficial?
You know who thinks it isn't?
Evola.
Steve Bannon. Continue, Didi.
All right. Esoteric fascism and the great man theory.
Oh boy.
Bannon's vision of history, with its emphasis on cycles of decline and renewal, aligns closely with esoteric fascism, a far-right ideology that incorporates mystical and religious elements. This worldview emphasizes the role of the great man, a strong authoritarian leader who emerges in times of crisis to restore order. Bannon has expressed admiration for figures such as Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Viktor Orban, portraying them as leaders capable of ushering in a new era. Themes associated with esoteric fascism and Bannon's rhetoric include the heroic age myth, a romanticized view of medieval and pre-modern societies as pure and superior to modern civilization, the cleansing fire, the idea that destruction and chaos are necessary precursors to renewal, authoritarianism as salvation, a belief that democracy is inadequate to navigate crises, necessitating strongman rule, influence on QAnon and occult conspiratorial thinking. Bannon's apocalyptic rhetoric has contributed to the growth of conspiratorial movements such as QAnon, which blends political extremism with mystical, esoteric elements. Central to QAnon's belief system are themes of secret forces controlling the world, an impending storm that will purge the corrupt elite, and a battle between good and evil where Figures like Trump are positioned as Messianic survivors. Bannon has played a major role in amplifying QAnon-adjacent conspiracy theories, pushing audiences towards a worldview steeped in hidden knowledge, prophecy, and revolutionary upheaval.
And you know, that it goes back to what we were saying, where it's like, yeah, what it is you're a cuck, and you're just a fucking dork that wants a strong daddy to tell you where to piss. You know, if you find that dismissive or not being fair to these people, fuck them. I see where their railroad ends, and I'm not really here for it. Like, it's not good. But what's more gross about it is, like, Bannon is essentially like Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings or some shit, where it's like he really, like, you know, he wants to be he wants to idolize a great man, and then he has the absurdity of, like, well, I'm gonna stand behind the very strong man and sort of be in his ear and tell him what he should be doing. And so then it's almost the contradiction of it, where it's like, yeah, it's history is full of great men, but no, it's actually the conniving strategist that's behind him that's, you know, pulling the strings. And then we see how it worked out for him. He got tossed out, and now there's another.
When you have an idiot boy king, what do you expect?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but
you wanted to create a strong figure that could wield the power of the masses that get thrown behind him, and or maybe even more specifically in this country, the power of a certain amount of masses and the class power of a large group of usurpers. But you know, you put that behind someone that is you think you can manipulate and fuck around with, and of course eventually they just kind of throw you to the fucking wolves.
Well, and it's almost the great lie of this whole thing, where it's like the idea of these great men. It's like, no, this is a Yahoo propped up by exceedingly powerful borderline impersonal forces, like the machinations of capitalism that demands profit above all else, and it will wield its vast resources to manipulate political ends, so
Right.
that a collective, the sort of collective interest of a group that is not, it's not written down anywhere. It's not something that's spoken, but it's an understanding between a group of vastly wealthy people to make certain things happen for their benefit. And then they frame it as a populist movement, which, you know, I'm not going to decry and say that it's not populist. There's large portions of it, but it comes because there's certain fuckers that are willing to put up money behind it. And then, you know, it's almost like you said earlier, talking about, it's like there is this in the sort of esoteric notion of, like, these people exist as embodiments of, like, or God or incarnations during times of crisis, the way that fucking Vishnu comes down when bad things happen, and sort of he sets what's right, what's wrong. But
you know me, right? I'm not usually that big on psychology. I think that, you know, a lot of the times when we're doing psychological analysis of things, that we can be projecting as much as we are, you know, actually getting at something. But I got to read you this quote because I thought of it as you were reading that section, Dee. As painful and embarrassing as it may be, the fact remains that we are confronted with a human structure that has been shaped by thousands of years of mechanistic civilizations and is expressed in a social helplessness and an intense desire for a fury. Wilhelm Reich, The Mass Psychology of Fascism.
Yeah. I mean, it's really easy to honestly understand how just people want to slot into a mob mentality.
Well,
it's not shocking to me.
It doesn't escape the upper classes because, you know, obviously Steve Bannon's one of them. He's, you know, he's a bourgeois, but he believes this just as well. His whole goal is to bring that about. Or he's a conniving Rasputin motherfucker who knows that you can use that, and he thought he was gonna, you know, come out on top.
He's that. But what helps me with that is knowing that he was involved with the real life bio. That helps me. That helps me sleep at night.
So wait. There was a real life BIO-DOME. Did the movie come first, or did the BIO-DOME come first?
Biosphere 2 in Arizona started. It was, I forget, this kind of culty thing that started by some culty guy somewhere, and then was in like San Francisco or the Bay Area in the 70s. There's a recording of Terrence McKenna shortly after like having a luncheon with these guys talking about how they don't know anything about science. And they started Biosphere 2 in Arizona in the early 90s. And BIO-DOME is based off of that whole thing.
Sorry, but the actual biosphere came before the movie.
This group of people that did it, they were all like fucking theater kids. And they had like legit, this entire time, like right across the street from wherever they were set up, they set up a theater and would do like weekly theater presentations of whatever the fuck they wanted to do, because it was like this theater troupe. And they set up Biosphere 2 in Arizona in like the 90s as this whole experiment on basically what BIO-DOME the movie is based on. But Steve Bannon ended up having to come in after a few years because the finance company he was working at in Florida at the time, they had randomly ended up with like the defaults on the loans through this company.
Wait. So he had to
like he just randomly.
So he had to go in there. Was he like the repo man? Like, nah, yeah, I gotta get the fuck out. Like,
well, yeah, they were the company that ended up with them defaulting on their loans because they had like purchased them through whatever. Then Bannon showed up and just wanted to like strong arm this place, and he ended up bringing in FBI agents. He had the place. He had it cleansed through like kind of like I don't know the word for it, like kind of a druidic ceremony. He had cleansed in the biosphere.
No, what?
Yeah, and this is shit. I cut all of this out of this because it's just so crazy.
It's like when somebody tells you, it's like the thing of like when you first heard the Alexander Dugan like doing the like reading the book of the law thing, and it's like it sounds fake, it sounds unbelievable, and then but something clicks when you hear it. It's like, oh
yeah, like this is just so insane. It makes sense.
I love that idea that it's like, yeah, we have to cleanse the aura here, man.
I gotta
like,
clear out the hippie funk. That's all it was.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. We got to clear out the hippie funk by bringing in these new age guys.
Bringing in my cool ass druid ritual.
Yeah, and it's just so crazy. Fucking Steve Bannon showing up in random shit. I swear to God, Steve Bannon is fucking the modern day Saint Germain.
Just a guy that is like, there's something weird and spooky going on, but he's like
fingers in everything.
But just weird, fingers in everything, showing up in weird places.
They look similar.
Getting behind somebody. Saint Germain's supposedly immortal, so I hope he didn't go this way though. But like, I figure the time period, he's probably exceptionally conservative by today's standards. So he's like, man, we need to get back to the old days.
I'm sure they'd burn him at the stake by today's
He's
standards.
like, man, we need to just get back to when men wore silk stockings and heels and wigs.
And we drank mercury.
That's the traditional values that he's like, but first I got to do some QAnon. It's very interesting, Bannon's position of like, he's got like some weird esoteric ideas. Apparently he doing like druid rituals and stuff. And then like he's a propagator of like the sort of QAnon conspiracy stuff that basically hangs on this thread of like, oh man, the big one's coming, everything's gonna change. And then it's like, it's just everybody sitting around going, yeah, nothing ever happens. Like, no, for real, guys, this time. And then it's like, you know what? Nothing happens. It's like, no, you don't understand.
Fell for it again, badge.
But I think that has something to do with almost the limbic hijacking thing of like when you keep people in a perpetual state of one, the simultaneous fear of like the overwhelming conspiracy that is in everything, but also in that like framing the holy war. So it's like, you keep them in the state of stress and apprehension and fight or flight, whatever's of like,
it's like getting them mobilized, right?
Yeah. But then like by doing that, you make them, one, you keep them distracted from anything that's actually going on, and then hopefully you radicalize them to the point that they can do something crazy for you. But it's also reliant on like constantly crying wolf. It's and I guess that's a much less esoteric idea. That's more of just sort of psyop manipulation thing.
Yeah, well, we always have to come back and contend with the idea of, does Steve actually believe this shit, or does he just think that it's good to get, to manipulate people with?
He definitely doesn't believe.
Who the fuck knows, man?
But like he definitely doesn't believe the storm. Oh man, the big storm coming.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna, Donald Trump's gonna get assassinated, and then he's gonna come back to life on live TV or whatever fucking insane thing they're saying this week.
Oh no, I don't think he believes that.
Yeah, it's like he definitely doesn't believe that, but he might, if at the bare minimum, he might believe, he probably or might believe in the notion of like, yeah, the installation of like an authoritarian rule under the guise of a powerful figurehead or a dictator of some kind would be superior to a collapsing Western society because of the folly of democracy and letting women wear pants.
First, we're gonna let them vote. Next, they're gonna want to be men. Where do we go from here?
There's like a page left in what I have.
Oh no! Please go on. We're telling that was your cue. That was your cue.
All right.
On. Is this thing on?
God damn it.
Is this thing on? These are the jokes, people.
Comedy's back. Dark Enlightenment and online occult fascism. During his tenure at Breitbart, Bannon became associated with the Dark Enlightenment, a far-right intellectual movement that rejects democracy in favor of hierarchical authoritarian governance.
Wait, I think we heard that one before. Sorry, continue.
The movement originated from thinkers like Nick Land, who fused cybernetics, accelerationism, and esoteric fascism into a dystopian ideology. That's a hard fucking word, man.
You gotta say it like Zizek.
Ideology.
Ideology.
And so on and so forth.
Etc.
Elements of the Dark Enlightenment have embraced occult symbolism, techno-mysticism, and revolutionary politics. Bannon's connection to the Dark Enlightenment. Breitbart as a platform for alt-right and neo-reactionary thinkers. Under Bannon, Breitbart provided a platform for neo-reactionary ideas, including hyper-capitalist futurism, authoritarianism, and even mystical interpretations of political power. B. Techno-fascism. Bannon worked closely with figures like Peter Thiel, a billionaire with ties to Dark Enlightenment ideology. Thiel has supported thinkers such as Curtis Yarvin, Moldbug?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's Moldbug's real name, right?
Mencius Moldbug, yeah.
Fuck
all
that
right.
guy.
Yep.
Waiting on my cathedral check, but fuck that guy.
Who argues for the replacement of democracy with a CEO-style dictatorship. Thiel's critiques of democracy and his financial backing of authoritarian-leaning political figures reflect an ideological alignment with reactionary governance models. Jesus fucking Christ.
You got this.
All right. C. Occult, esoteric fascism, and online extremist spaces. Certain corners of the far-right online sphere have embraced occult and mystical aesthetics. These include esoteric Hitlerism, a mystical interpretation of Nazism influenced by Evola and Miguel Serrano, chaos magic, and meme magic, where symbols like Pepe the Frog are used in quasi-occult rituals to influence reality. Accelerationist thought, the belief that civilization must be pushed toward collapse to bring about authoritarian rebirth. While Bannon is not directly tied to these groups, his media strategies align with their tactics using coded symbolism, apocalyptic narratives, and online radicalization techniques. All right, that's the end of that fucking part. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, nothing new here. We already treaded on so much.
Yeah, we can't, like, we're not going to drag up like Nick Land and Moldbug and stuff, but they, it really does It is what
Yeah.
it says on the tin. These are people that do continually fall back on this idea that like democracy is a failed experiment and we need to just go back to basically investing power in
It's the
in,
same thing we were just
smaller
fucking
and
talking
singular
about.
groups.
It's just give me big
Yeah.
authoritarian daddy so I can fix things. Even if that's not what they think they're doing, that's what they're fucking doing. Nick Land's hyper intelligence at the end of the universe singularity bullshit is just the ultimate version of the big daddy that does everything and knows everything, and he knows when you're jerking off. Nick Land made the evil Christian God because he's a traumatized meth
in
head.
reverse. Yeah.
Fuck Nick Land.
I mean, I just don't have any.
Oh, preach, brother.
I don't have
preach.
anything good to say about these people. It's like I can't imagine what sort
There's
of
nothing to say good
what
about
sort of
them.
idiot comes to the conclusion that doing the thing that large chunks of human history that led to abject suffering is the way to go. Like that's the idea. It's like, do you realize
Because you need to revolt against the modern world. The fact
Because
that
you-
I don't get to go be a fucking Chad warrior and like rape and murder and pillage people for the divine
You were
order
never-
of some holy empire bullshit.
you were never built for that. You were never going to be that. You were
Yeah,
never going to be that.
You were gonna be a fucking peasant. You were gonna be a slave when that dude came.
You weren't
and
going to
took
be
you
allowed
over.
to read a book. You know, and it's like, it's the idea of like, I'm going to, it's the desire. It's the very, very human desire to sacrifice a bunch of people that are faceless, like undesirables in your brain. You know, to just take all the people that you really don't like and put them on an island somewhere and blow up the island and things will be better. It's the idea that like you can save yourself by gutting a bunch of other people, and it's never gonna fucking work.
Okay, just to prove that we're consistent here. That is why we constantly bring up the fact that it's like, yeah, go ahead, guillotine all the capitalism, guillotine all the capitalists. That'll fix everything.
Yeah.
We won't just reestablish
Yeah,
capitalism and do the same.
You mean that we're
fucking
gonna
shit?
make the? Yeah, if we killed all of them right now, we would end up doing the exact same mistakes as before. All right, I'm sorry. That's why, and it goes back to what we're talking about, where it's this apocalyptic revolutionary fantasies that a lot of leftists run around with. The idea that you can just like kill enough people that disagree with you or burn down enough things. Haven't we fucking figured it out that like you can't shoot your way to paradise? And I'm not saying that as like a kumbaya, we all need to get along and lovey-dovey and violence is never the answer, because sometimes it is. Sometimes it's the only option you got left. And it's sad and it's awful that happens. But the fact is that you will not, that the solution is never going to be as simple as punch the bad guy. You don't live in a Batman comic.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about, Lo. Maybe we should all learn to be adults.
Yeah, maybe we should just
Because
grow
that's
the fuck up.
Yeah, but that's complicated and hard. That's why democracy feels very much like a failed project, even to people who see its value. Because we all have a very difficult time growing the fuck up.
Yeah.
But but that's why sometimes my politics can come across as somewhat childish and naive, because I say things like, I just really think that in the world we live in, people should have access to food, shelter, and healthcare and stuff like that. And I've never gotten a satisfying answer for why we can't have those things.
Because the holy the hierarchical order goes that like the warrior caste and the priestly caste, they get the health care.
We currently live in a society. Bottom text. No, we currently live in a society that requires certain people be deprived of certain things so that they are made pliable to do things that they would not otherwise do.
Yeah.
But you also realize that that's the same thing that like your parents would do to you. You know, they would take away your phone or whatever the fuck, or like you couldn't play your Xbox or whatever dumb punishment, or worse yet, they just beat you. And this is like, maybe, hey, fascist, like, grow the fuck up. I don't, here's a really dumb one, but I'll say this. I remember Babaji Bob Kindler talking about reincarnation, and he said something about like, I really want to get out this lifetime because I don't want to have to go to high school again. I don't want to come out of a womb and have somebody have to like carry me around and decide when I'm going to eat and everything else. It's like, that's really not a fun prospect for me. And it's almost in a weird way, it's almost like, yeah, I really don't want to repeat the patterns of my childhood, or the patterns of like the archetypal human childhood forever. And that's what civilization keeps seeming to do. Yeah. But yeah, I think, and maybe it's reductionist, or maybe I'm missing some big picture about how strong men punch people and take shit and do whatever might makes what right bullshit you want to say. But it really does feel like this whole mentality comes from a bad place psychologically. It just happens to be that the people that are listening to it have a lot of resources they can throw behind it.
The one thing I'll say, right, is that this is not a screed against the idea of having like heroes, or having people that we look up to, people that we think exemplify what it means to be like a human being.
I
in
like
the
Batman
world.
comics. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Yeah. It's
But
like,
it's
that's not about that. It's about the very real concrete realities that we all live in, where we can't just sit around and pick people to save the fucking day. Because every time that has happened in like the history of the world, where we decided that we were going to go with the state of exception, as it's called, where things are bad enough that we gotta put someone in charge to fix it. You know, we're just gonna send somebody in, and it's not gonna matter. Their word is law, and they're gonna fix it. Every fucking time that has ever happened, it has been an abject failure.
Yeah. Except for the one Roman guy that was dictator for like a week. And he was a farmer, and they're like, no, you're a dictator. And then he's like, all right, we're going to go fuck him up so I can go back to farming. It was like the one time.
Norms imply their own exceptions, I guess.
Indeed it does. Oh, also, like, it's a shame because now all I want is to see Steve Bannon doing like a druid ritual. Can we pull up a video of him in like a hood or something?
I think Steve Bannon would be doing it to safety dance. Just like in BIO-DOME.
Oh, there we go.
I think that's exactly how Steve Bannon would have done it.
Someone go ahead and like edit a picture of the BIO-DOME safety dance part, but with Steve Bannon's face over it. Thank you. I think that's probably a good place to end it then. We kind of said our piece.
Yeah.
Do we have any other last minute additions to this? I mean, like,
was he also behind the true story of hit Rob Schneider film The Animal?
Oh boy. Is he the reason that Rob Schneider's like a total conservative reactionary now?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I just think that's Rob Schneider.
It's like that's his own fault.
What do we think of the general idea of these occult influenced people in politics? Because obviously, you know, we mentioned the political thinking of we've mentioned Dugan before on the show. And obviously, like, there's the political thinkers that are Nick Land and fucking Mencius Moldbug, obviously. Like, they are expressly political philosophers.
I think that
Leo Strauss is given credit with creating the neoconservative movement and like the George Bush people.
I know I just went on a big tirade about why I think like far right and fascism is like really fucking stupid. But 9 times out of 10, I like to really think of myself as someone who is willing to give an earnest look to people I disagree with and stuff like that. I think that it is part of your obligation. And, you know, I guess in that spirit of like learning to grow the fuck up and just be responsible for yourself. And we've talked about the curse and the strength of the magician is a sense of radical personal responsibility for not just yourself, but for the whole of the universe. And I think part of that means accepting that you cannot carve the world up into simple axioms. You cannot put everything in basic boxes. There is no ultimate perfect political system or strategy. There is no great answer that can fix everything and put everything in order, because that is simply not the way that reality brings itself to us, right? Maybe there's some grand nirvana of everything is perfect in this moment and undifferentiated, but down here in the dregs of duality, on the other side of the river, we simply do not have that luxury. I understand that there are probably occultists that might hold political views that I disagree with that are not horrible, shitty people. There are people that probably might lean a little farther to the right than I do that are genuine, earnest people trying to do the work and coming from a good place. But I think a large portion of people like this, even the spooky woo-woos, are just fucking shit magicians, and they're fucking bullshit artists and grifters, and they just want to manipulate people. And they're like, they're fuckers like Steve Bannon, where it's like they really love the idea of latching on to a big fish and trying to just slip them some tongue,
Yeah, just
and
dick riding for these authoritarian personalities that they can use so they can hopefully ride to the top of. And Elon Musk is doing the exact same fucking thing.
I don't know. He's a little weird because he's also like he's the richest man in the world. So it's like
he is, but he didn't have the power of the government. He had to dick ride.
The richest and weirdest. That's such a great combination.
Well, I mean, what's the old saying, right? When you're weird and you're broke, you're fucking crazy. When you're weird and rich as hell, you're a respected leader of a government institution that is very real.
He did.
President Elon Trump.
He did say he was going to step down from Doge.
He should step into like
130 days.
Never mind.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if he actually steps down or not. But like,
do you think he's doing it because like his stock both in
I think
financial sense and in a cultural sense is like really down?
This should be for the news.
How he randomly apparently sold fucking Twitter to
a company, the
AI company.
It doesn't matter. Like, I should have saved this for the news, but I'll say it real quick. I think he just knows that like him and Trump as like a working relationship is not sustainable, so he wants to get out of Dodge before they sour on each other. If he's smart, that's what it is. But I don't even know.
We know he's not that.
Whatever. It's just, let's not get into the dregs of it.
You think Steve and Elon are gonna like hang out afterwards? Like,
Steve has actually been bad mouthing Elon in the press, saying that like he should not be allowed near the president.
Well, it's gonna be like a Scott Pilgrim 7 Evil X's type thing, right?
What if Elon leaves?
Bannon, I hate to say it, but Bannon is too competent to hang out with Elon.
What if Elon leaves and then Bannon comes back and he's in the White House doing the druid cleansing to get Elon's bad vibes out?
He's like, hey, you left your kid.
That could happen.
You left your kid.
Okay.
Oh, boy. All right. That's going to bring us to our palate cleanser. How goes the work, everyone? Dee Dee, you can go first.
It's going. Just been focusing on my mental health.
Yeah, there's no in a magical sense or just in a general sense. So you're like, you journaling or
both.
Okay. What's that look like for you?
Just a lot of meditating.
Okay.
Just with my background, that's kind of what I go to a lot.
Just keeping that center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Kennedy, you've been doing a work since the beginning of Lent because some habits die hard, I suppose. You want to talk about that?
I did it last. No, well, I won't give like a whole lot of super specifics, but I did say in the Discord what I was doing because I felt like making a public declaration of it would keep me honest, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's what this podcast is too, in a way. So, because last year I had recently moved and it was like Lent was starting right when I had gotten settled where I was. And I was like, well, I need to do something to keep myself occupied. So I went ahead and, that's where the origins of Minnesota voodoo is, because that's when I got into Michael Burdio and, said, fuck it, I'm going to do the voodoo Gnostic workbook stuff because I had read it before and I had tried out some things maybe, but I hadn't done it. I didn't sit down and go, all right, let's work through the system. But because of that, when it came around this year, I was like, well, I need to do something, just something to keep me regimented because we mentioned it on the podcast before and we still haven't gotten to it, but we'll get to it next time. I promise. We did a working me, co-host Coco and local rooted based on Peter Carroll's elemental weapons practices that he gives in was it Liber Chaos and Cyber Magic?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we did that, and then afterwards it was, by the time that was done, it was a little space in between where I was just doing my normal daily stuff, and then Lent was coming up. So and I've just been invoking the Holy Guardian Angel daily and doing a mass once a week. And I'm also not eating candy, but that's just one of those self-discipline type things. That was a
good for you.
part. Yeah. It's been good. It's been very rewarding.
I'm gonna get you one of those those 4-pound Snickers or whatever the hell. I'm gonna get you one of those at the end of this, and that'll be your reward.
My reward will be getting to have the knowledge and conversation of my holy guardian angel
and a big old Snickers.
And big old Snickers. That's what Crowley should have put into like the Bornless ritual, right? Like, at the end, get yourself a treat.
Oh man, I'll bring up Hyatt again, but he talked about one of the exercise, one of like the real basic ones he did in energized meditation. At the end of it, it's like, do something nice for yourself. Have a nice big old slice of cake or something.
All right, one more and then we'll go to you. But Israel Regardi used to give people a little hard candy after he had a Reichian session with them.
But that was a blood sugar and energy sort of thing, though. That made sense.
But it's also putting you in a nice mood after you do your Reichian therapy. So you'll come back and get more Reichian therapy from totally nice guy, Dr. Israel.
You broke up a lot of your muscular armoring. Here's a lollipop. All
right, what about you?
Boy. I'm actually
I'm keep this one to the chest.
I don't know. Last time, not the spare special, but the episode before that, I went really hard talking about like a lot of weird ideas that have been going on in my head and workings and how they connected and stuff. So maybe I'll just shut up this time. So I don't know. I will say I am also engaging in a lentil working, making a soup. No, I'm working for the 40 days that actually I got really fucking sick, like bedridden for like a few days, and it was like I started feeling like the tide turned on the day of Lent, and there was some spooky stuff going on. So I've been trying to see what happened there and work it for 40 days, and we're gonna see where it goes. It actually connects back to a couple different things. But I do think it's funny because you're doing the HGA thing, and my workings do they involve Karanzan, so it's almost like in a weird way two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I could talk to you about some Karanzan stuff in relation to what I'm doing too, but I'm not that.
We're bringing back the Karanzan Club, is what it is, and
well, it's gonna be Club Penguin though.
Yeah, Karanzan Club Penguin. Everyone get on the iceberg. We're going to make it tip.
Well, with that,
this has been Chaos Magic News, the only podcast that can't take its own advice and grow the fuck up. You talking about Club Penguin? You fucking dorks. What are you going on about?
I didn't even play Club Penguin when I was a kid. I just know the memes.
Me either. If you also
just know the memes, you know them from chaosmagicnews.com, where we'll have articles, links to the pod, links to our exclusive wonderful interview series with some of the coolest and brightest in the occult. That's going to be coming back real big. We'll keep you updated on that. Also, as we mentioned, we do the memes over on the social medias, social memias.
We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Chaos Magic News. We are on Blue Sky at CMN Pod because somebody got that name, and if I find them, oh boy.
I swear it's one of us, and we just didn't, like, you used the wrong email or some shit. Something happened.
I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Or someone really doesn't like us.
Yeah. We're and if you really haven't gotten enough of us, we do have a Patreon where we post bonus content where you go through the occult iceberg. We're actually about to release a reading of at least part of the Zoetic Grimoire, which we hinted at in the last episode. It might actually be out already. Hopefully it is. But you can find that and us doing readings of different stuff where we go, we give commentary, talk about it. We also have the iceberg thing where it's like kind of just us and the boys, and we're firing off about spooky woo woo things on a tier list. And also, if you do support us, you get your name read right here.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Cios93. Thank you, Pope Loki Sater the 23rd LLC. Thank you, Obs Black. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Acolyte 1 of the Ice Magic Meditation Society. Thank you, Cursed T. Thank you, Theodore Krasny. Thank you, Venus Christ. Thank you, Tent Athena. Thank you, Bearded Vegan. Thank you, Tremov. Thank you, Tangy Darling. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, Toziel Obscurus. Thank you, Lavender Ghost. Thank you, Tommy Kelly. Thank you, Clodvis. Thank you, Cyrenix Flux. Thank you, Eric the Wizard. Thank you, Marcia Mendoza. Thank you, Archaic. Thank you, Michael Lamara. And thank you to the local family.
Just for everybody that does support what we do, it's humbling. Like the social media just hit another milestone as far as like followers and stuff. And it's not a super big thing, but it makes you feel good, and it makes you knowing that people do like what you do and support it it keeps you going, you know? It really does. And if you don't want to give us money, like totally I totally get it, but you know, commenting, telling people about the show, sharing it around and doing stuff like that does a whole lot for us too. And it's all greatly appreciated. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, also we have a Discord, and if you play your cards right, you might go from somebody who heard us on the show to somebody who is now on the show.
Giving us content.
Yeah. Now you're in.
Yeah.
Now you're doing the dance for us, monkey. Yeah. How you like that?
God damn it.
The tables have turned. We've upset the order. Don't worry. We'll have a strong new podcast host that'll come in and fix it.
I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker.
Fell for it again. With that, Dee Dee, would you like the last word?
Have a great night.
There you go.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
You got a little baby belly.
Oh, thank you.
Can you be good while Daddy does his podcast?
You know she can't.
No.
Well, no, she might be able to. She's not the dog. The dog who is the most opinionated dog I've ever heard on a podcast.
The most recurring guest on the fucking podcast.